To work for others and to be selfless, you need to do that with love, and that always fulfills you. I don't know what makes you happy and what fulfills you. We are all different as human beings. But when I see change in others, which I did not anticipate as a young girl, I get fulfilled. So with the work that I do as a UN Goodwill Ambassador, I get to see different faces. I get to see different places. I get to interact with different people, from high-level people to the lowest. And that really fulfills me. Because I say with the God-given talent that I have, I'm able to change people's lives. I'm able to help where I can. And I'm also able to be fulfilled. If you are happy and fulfilled, it's very easy for you to extend a helping hand and help others. But sometimes we have fears in ourselves as people, and that fear makes you not want to do anything. And we always grapple with that because we don't know whether we're coming or going. So we need to shed fear out of our system. Because when you're scared, when you've got fear, you don't know how you want to help. You don't know what you want to do, and that limits your happiness, and you are never fulfilled. In 2004, I traveled to Gabon, ladies and gentlemen, and as I was performing, it was a wonderful trip. And coming back home, it was just unfortunate that one of my musicians, Nduli, had contracted malaria in Gabon. And we came back home. Her flatmate said to me, she is not feeling well. And she'd been taken to the doctor, and unfortunately she was misdiagnosed. And she died from malaria. That for me was a wake-up call. Because when I did my homework and found out that malaria was curable and preventable, and yet so many women and children under 5 were dying from this curable and preventable disease, I thought, this is not right. I was also totally ignorant about malaria. I was quite fortunate because at that instant, the first person I called was Madiba. And I said, I've lost a musician. And they said, she died from malaria. And I've just looked at every encyclopedia. Malaria is curable and preventable. And his words to me were, darling, you have a voice. You can do something. I will help you. What do you want to do? And you always say to yourself, you never thought it could be until it happens to you. So Phumzile's death could not have gone in vain. That's when I started wanting to do something for others. Because as I said, I was also totally ignorant about malaria. I did not think that malaria is curable or preventable. And yet it was killing so many people in the sub-Saharan Africa. My journey then started there. Before that, I've just been doing things and being very happy, being a superstar, you know, and going about having bodyguards and just traveling and singing and making money. But my musician's death brought me back into what I would call a normal life. And that has really fulfilled me. Going into fields, going around where you never thought you could go, and making sure that all those interventions are being used. Things like nets, indoor residual spraying, and all the other interventions. I was very, very lucky because in 2005 in January, I got a call from UNICEF in Ethiopia. They wanted a goodwill ambassador to help with AIDS. There was a big controversy, you remember, in South Africa about AIDS and antiretrovirals during Thabo Mbeki's tenure. And I got a call to go to Ethiopia. And when I got to Ethiopia, they were actually celebrating Bob Marley's 60th birthday. And they asked me to perform with Rita Marley and Ziggy Marley and Angelique Kidjo. And the following morning, I had this call from the reps. They said, we'd actually called you for two things, to perform last night and to ask you to be a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador. And I thought, that is very good. How much do I get paid? The answer I got was that as a Goodwill Ambassador, you don't get paid a cent. And I frowned a little bit. I thought, okay. So do I just do work for nothing? They said, yes. So they said to me, we'd like you to be a Goodwill Ambassador for AIDS, because there's a huge problem in South Africa. More and more people are dying from AIDS, and they're not taking antiretrovirals, and there's a huge problem. So I listened, and I said to them, I would like to be a Goodwill Ambassador for malaria. They looked at me, they said, oh, South Africa is like a first world country. There's no malaria in South Africa, so we actually did not ask you to be a malaria Goodwill Ambassador. I would like you to deal with AIDS, because there's a huge problem in South Africa. I told them the story of Phumzile. I said I'd lost a musician 5 months before that, and I've been doing homework about malaria, and I would really, really like to learn myself about malaria and in return educate others about malaria. The reps looked at each other and they said, we'll have to go back to New York, because the calling comes from New York at the UN. And they still insisted that I be an ambassador for AIDS. And I said, no, I want to deal with malaria. And they said, okay, we'll give you a ring. And I thought, oh, maybe I've messed up. And a month later, I got a call with a letter saying, it looks like you become the only UN Goodwill Ambassador to choose a cause. You will be a Goodwill Ambassador for malaria. And that, for me, has made me say, one door can close, but if you are determined, and if you want to be fulfilled, anything is possible. Where there's a will, there'll always be the way. Absolutely. So that has really fulfilled me in my career as a musician, and using the voice that I have to become what I am today. When I grew up, I never thought I would be what I am today. But I've always been determined that it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor. I did not choose to be born by a domestic worker, did I? I didn't. I did not choose to have a father dying and leaving me when I was 11, did I? I did not choose to have the color that I have. And I think God or Allah or whatever you may call it was so smart to make us so diverse. Can you imagine if we're all white? The world would be boring. If we're all black, the world would be boring. If we're all eating samosas, oh no, the world would be boring. So, the world is so interesting because we're all different. Some have got thick lips like us. I don't need to be Angelina Jolie. I've got original ones. Some of us have got big backsides. That is so original. Some are flat. Some are long. Some have got small figures. Some are very light in complexion. I've had some of my friends say, oh, I'm dark and I see white. I just see white. And some of our black friends are like, some are lighter than us. So we need to love and respect ourselves because we're a tapestry. But we don't realize we kill each other in the name of religion. We hate each other because we're different cultures. Yet we are equal in the eyes of the Lord. Why are we so hateful? Why are we always judging each other instead of learning from one another and saying, we appreciate each other the way we are, and we can learn from one another. As a matter of fact, when I was much younger, because Mom worked in this white family, and I could see Louise and David going to school just across the road. And Mom had to ask me to go into a green Patco bus. Do you remember the green Patco bus? Yeah, those my age will know. The young ones, Temba and Tembi here, you don't know the yellow, the green bus. And I always used to cry when my mother took Vivian and David across the road. And I had to commute with my two elder sisters. I used to cry and ask the madam, Pet, why am I not supposed to go with Louise and Vivian to school just across the road? And she would constantly say, Yvonne, the system doesn't allow us to do that. I didn't hate her, but I questioned. And every time I came back from school, I know I would get a smack, because my mother would always say to me, why did you ask my madam questions? And you're just a child. You just want to know the truth. And the madam would always say, Sophie, you've got a little rebel here. But all I wanted was to know, why wasn't I supposed to go to school with Louise and Vivian? Was it because of the color of my skin? But as I grew, I knew that I was a different child, because I did question. And today I stand here as a proud African, not seeing color, but learning from one another and working together to make South Africa a better place. We always have fear in us, because when we have fear, we don't know where we're going and what we want to do. That makes us people who would sit in the corner and not learn from others. But if you are open to opinions, if you are prepared to learn from others, you have a vision, and you want to take what is good from others. They're good black people. They're good white people. They're good colored people. They're good Indian people. We are a living society. We need to learn and respect each other and learn from one another. That is the most important thing. And once you start yourself in knowing that, you become fulfilled. You never worry about somebody else. The most important thing is to be happy and content with who you are, and learn from others who do better and make good even better. Ladies and gentlemen, in my interaction with various people, especially at the leadership level, I had the opportunity of seeing people, some of them just shy, some modest and fearless, people with a persona that seemed to hide an inner intensity, a dedication to make anything they touch turn into gold, and not because of what they could get out of it, but because they could just not imagine doing it in any other way. These were people who would rather talk less than about themselves, but go on about the organizations that they lead and contributions of others. They would, at the first opportunity, deflect any discussion about themselves, because they are fulfilled, because they are content, because they are happy, and then they can fulfill their dreams and help others and unleash different potentials from others. These and many others, some of the ways in which we sabotage ourselves from doubts, fears, and various concerns. We need to trust ourselves, our ability to make things happen. In doing all of these, to make cognizance of the fact that sometimes there are greater forces at play that influence some of the directions we choose to take. By maintaining focus and perspective, we'll end up seeing the results. Trust, I'm told, is a skill that can be developed by not only taking decision, but acting on it. Acknowledging what you set out to do and repeating it. The trick is to start small and slowly building on your initiative. As business author Michael Gerber once commended. I quote, "Big things are the product of small things that have been done very, very well," I unquote. Given our past experience as a nation in this country, experiences of abuse as women, being discriminated against on the basis of our gender, experiences of violence and intimidation, experiences of being made to feel inadequate, we always find ourselves crippled with fear. Fear of failure, fear of disappointment, fear of not living up to expectations. And you ask yourself, whose expectations are these? This fear is natural and it is understandable. But we have to confront it. We have to deal with it as human beings. We need to learn to interface with it so that it does not keep us immobile. We need to identify these fears where possible and get support of dealing with it, because most of the time it is not the lack of time, it's not the lack of money or resources that is a problem, but rather it's the fear that we're grappling with because we don't know whether we're coming or going. It's a fear that you don't know if what I do this, is it going to be right or wrong? And then you have your aspirations damped. You don't have your dreams, and you don't know how to go about fulfilling your dreams. It is at that crucial moment to identify the fears that is holding you back that you need to make some life-changing decisions of choosing to live with the fear or to pursue your dreams of becoming a better person. We all need to be better people, don't we? We all strive for change. We all want to see good in ourselves first and then in others, don't we? If you are not acting on your dreams, you are then acting on the fears and beliefs. Although change always brings sorts of doubts and concerns, it is how you deal with them that matters. When all else fails, ladies and gentlemen, remember this bit of a coffee shop wisdom. A small note on a cheap jar said, I quote, "If you fear change, leave it here." So it doesn't matter whether it's change or change. It does not matter where you come, which family you come from. It doesn't matter where you were born. It doesn't matter how much money you've made in your lifetime or how much money you've lost. Who your connections are and how powerful they are, nothing will ever get you where you want to be if you do not understand your full potential and what fulfills you and what will make you a better person. Discovering your full potential might not be an easy task because for some of us it's an instinct and for others we grapple with it. It becomes a big struggle. The environment in which we are raised or live in can also play a very important part. And so can the misfortunes of lack of resources that limit our exposures of options in life. One thing remains certain despite the many physical environments and financial limitations. The most important asset that majority of us as human beings have, or that we possess, is our brains. It doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor. We are all given brains. It's how you choose to use your brains. It's how you choose what fulfills you. It's what you choose, what you want for yourself. I always say to people, it doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter where you grew up. If you have aspirations and dreams, you become a better person. We don't all have to live in a $5 million house, do we? You can be a better person in your surroundings, in your constituencies, in your communities. It doesn't matter whether you live in a shack. If you keep your shack clean, if you keep your surroundings habitable, you become a better person. There's no need for you to go and break into somebody's house and take what doesn't belong to you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we need the political will in our country. We need politicians to take a stand. We don't have to live looking over our shoulders. If you know who you are and accept who you are, you become fulfilled, don't you? So it's important for those who have to be able to help. And those who don't have should accept the help that comes their way and not the sense of entitlement. Because that becomes a huge problem. Ladies and gentlemen, finding your purpose can also be a struggle, and sometimes looking in unusual places can also help, such as finding out what terrifies you and what could help so that you do not fail. If you're scared of failure, you have to make sure that you work very, very hard. But before you do that, you need to know what makes you happy. What is your passion? And how do you want to fulfill your dreams? From my own experience in my career, I can only testify that if you want to succeed in life, you must first find your passion, harness it, and use it to focus on your dreams and your vision. But before you take the first step, you need to make peace with the person you are today, right here and right now. Because the person that you are today is the person you started being a number of years ago. So, ladies and gentlemen, to be fulfilled, to work hard, and to be a visionary, you need to love yourself now. Accept yourself now and where you have been, and then you can move on. If you know who you are, you will never have any reason to doubt yourself. You know where you come from. You know what you want, and it will become very easy to work. Accept your mistakes, learn from your mistakes, and learn from others, and then you get fulfilled. In moving on, you need to create a belief that will provide a foundation for your dreams to manifest. Choosing a belief that will empower your dreams of greater ease for doing less and having more than acting on your belief. I'm told in so doing, you are sending a powerful message on your brains, and being that you are serious about your dreams. Because it is one thing to say you believe, and it is another to actually do something about it. I don't know, where did I press? Did I come and switch it off? I don't know. I'm using my speech and your computer is right here. Where did you get this from? Ladies and gentlemen, all these beliefs and dreams and realizing appear easily said than done. For most of us, the question that we ask is, where do I start? And how do I go about it? I believe it's every society's role to help develop a big repertoire of role models. We do need role models. We do need to have people that we look up to help us fulfill our dreams. People that are not corrupt. I'm sick and tired. When you hear about Africa or South Africa, you hear of incompetence. You hear of corruption. You hear of all things that demoralize you. But today, everyone who is sitting here is a visionary, is a person who is content, is a person who is fulfilled and ready and waiting to help others. Because if that wasn't that case, ladies and gentlemen, you would not have been here today. So I believe role models in society will help develop a repertoire of good role models, people that we all respect and admire. Don't we want people that we admire and respect? We do. People that we can all look up to. In identifying these role models, we need to ask ourselves different questions. Do these people really appeal to us? Do they walk the talk? Are they trustworthy? Are these the people that we can look up to help us fulfill our dreams or to unleash our potential? As people, we need the emotional and practical support at the most difficult times, especially because of the emotional tenor and the experiential learning process of grappling with the complex task of figuring out who we are, what we want to be, where we want to go, and how to get there. Ladies and gentlemen, if we can work ourselves up, if we can believe in ourselves, we will know where we come from, and we will know where we want to go and how to get there and to be fulfilled. Now, all of you sitting here, you are change agents. We've chosen this path. Let no one turn us around. If we all work together, if we are fulfilled, this war we will win. Together, we are an African Renaissance. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I've traveled, I've seen faces and places